Dear viewer, it gives me great joy to present one more time to you women telling women stories. This is a different sweatshirt, but you get the point. Before I get started with the review, two reminders. Show thoda sa pyar by subscribing to my channel and then scroll down zara sa niche to check out all this brand new merch on the merch shelf. Now, Amy Poehler's Moxie, based on a 2017 book by the same name, stars Hadley Robinson as 16-year-old Vivian, a shy introvert who daydreams of going to UC Berkeley, but her nightmares feature her running scared through a forest, lost and unable to speak. Vivian is mostly going with the flow in life. She is unaware of her privileges as a white citizen of America until there is a new student in her class, Lucy Hernandez, played by Alicia Pascual Pena, who challenges the status quo by telling the school's star football player to back off, demanding to be treated respectfully, a move which serves to jolt Vivian out of her comfortable stupor and begin to take notice of the hierarchies of her school and friend circles. In the process, she gets to learn more about the 90s riot girl movement. Kyunki all the material is conveniently within her home, Mummy, who is now a doctor, was a more demonstrative revolutionary feminist back in the day. Look, Moxie is the kind of film I would have needed when I was 16, when a bunch of asshole boys hid my school bag in a cabinet and everyone laughed at me in my class for 30 minutes while I searched. And I never complained about it because tormenting mousy nerds like me was just what cool kids did. The teachers didn't seem to bother, and my parents only kept asking me to keep my head down and study hard. And what was pop culture offering kids my age back then? Movies and shows made for teenagers without condescension and disdain? Nagesh Kukunur's Rockford, TV shows just Mohabbat, Lizzie McGuire, sure. But these were primarily about young boys or about girls falling for young boys. The only show I remember watching at times to look for answers and comfort was Nupur Asthana's Hip Hip Hurray. Today, the world has changed. Teenagers have more access to reality, more literature and content than they can possibly consume, many more places to go when confused. They're not just reliant on parents and teachers, which is great, but also scary and overwhelming. My mind boggles to think about everything teenagers have to keep up with, along with an educational syllabus. Amy Poehler addresses this in a manner which brought back repressed memories of being bullied in school by people who clearly peaked in school. She talks about unfair dress codes for girls, authorities failing to address unfair hierarchies among students, ultimately encouraging them, the immediate need for an overhaul of academic curriculum, and even though all of this is 100% American, a lot of it is still very, very relatable. As a teenager, when I argued with boys, I didn't understand sexism. All I knew was that I didn't like being spoken down to. To watch Amy Poehler bring the 90s back in the best way possible made me more emotional than I had anticipated, particularly the climax sequence, which admittedly is cluttered, exaggerated, and convenient, but a moment when the schoolgirls get together and just scream. I found a catharsis and I straight up cried. Lekin, despite the acknowledgement of teenage angst as legit, my favorite scene in the film is Vivian being an absolute asswipe to her mother, played by director Amy Poehler herself. The 16-year-old has a meltdown while she's eating dinner at home with her mom's new boyfriend. I don't know how much of that comes from author Jennifer Matu's book Moxie, and how much of it is Tamara Chesna and Dylan Meyer's screenplay at play, but that one meltdown encapsulates the complicated mess teenagers can be better than any I've ever seen. It's got the teenager's perspective, but with a lot of adult empathy. This adult empathy does cross over into tick mark territory occasionally throughout the film. It's wonderful to see an all diverse, inclusive cast. Lauren Tsai, Nico Hiraga are students of Asian origin. Emily Hopper is a differently abled marching band member. Josie Tota plays a trans student in the core group of friends, and it's all very exciting. But eventually the film remains the story of Vivian, her coming of age, and realizing that the world isn't as simple for everyone else as it is for her. And sure, that's the story Moxie's trying to tell. But its failure to focus on the actual different lives around Vivian, Moxie, I suspect, will firmly remain in the fun to watch this weekend category, which is not a bad thing to be, frankly. Listen, you've got to appreciate the movie's acceptance of the ways of the Gen Z, not belittling their existence as fledglings who don't understand the world. The adults, thankfully, never step in to save the day. Moxie is now streaming on Netflix. Now for relation में recommendation. Another Netflix offering, do check out the British show Sex Education. Also set at a high school, the show does a pretty neat job of addressing teenage hormones and troubles without being scornful about it. The protagonist here too lives with a single mother, a woman of science, played by Gillian Anderson, who you last saw as Margaret Thatcher in The Crown Season 3. Sex Education के 2 seasons हैं Netflix पर, do watch. And subscribe to my channel because come on, merch and everything.